What if you could fundamentally change your life in the next 7 days? It sounds like an exaggeration, but the mechanism for that change is smaller and more accessible than you think. It starts not with a massive action, but with a single sentence. What if, for the next week, you began each day by telling yourself something specific? A phrase designed to be the first command your mind executes? Most of us wake up and the mental noise begins instantly. The checklist of yesterday's failures, the wave of anxiety about the day ahead, the crushing weight of a to-do list that already feels impossible. We feel adrift in a sea of internal chaos before our feet even touch the floor. You desperately want clarity. You crave that feeling of solid focus. You imagine a version of yourself that moves through the world with purpose and discipline. But your own mind often feels like your biggest adversary, doesn't it? It just keeps replaying the same old script of doubt, hesitation, and procrastination. So, what if the answer wasn't to fight that voice, but simply to give it a new script? The truth is, the words you use internally are not just fleeting thoughts. They are the programming code for your personal operating system. The great Stephen R. Covey taught the world to begin with the end in mind. We apply this to our careers, our finances, our life goals. But its most potent application might just be at the micro level, the very first moment of your day. In this video, we're moving beyond simple positive thinking. We are giving you the precise commands that trigger genuine discipline and build unwavering consistency. And it all starts by understanding the powerful reason why your brain is practically begging you for these new instructions. What we're discussing here isn't magic or some abstract self-help theory. It's grounded in basic neuroscience. For a long time, the prevailing belief was that the human brain was largely fixed by early adulthood. But we now know, definitively, that this is not true. This incredible adaptability is called neuroplasticity. Think of your brain not as a static blueprint, but as a dynamic, living map. Every single thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every action you take strengthens a specific neural connection. Imagine the pathways in your mind are like trails in a dense forest. The paths you've traveled most frequently, the thoughts of, "I'll do it later," or "I'm not good enough," are like wide, well-trodden highways. They are automatic, easy to follow, and require almost no conscious effort. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Your brain is also hardwired with something called a confirmation bias. It's a survival mechanism. Your brain actively scans your reality for evidence to prove that your existing beliefs are true. So, if you hold the deep-seated belief that you are a procrastinator, your brain will magnify every instance that confirms it, conveniently ignoring the times you were productive. This creates a powerful, self-reinforcing loop that can feel impossible to escape. You want to carve out new trails in that forest paths of discipline, confidence, and immediate action. But your internal narrator, that automatic voice of habit, keeps directing your mental traffic down those same old negative highways. It's the default setting, the path of least resistance. So, a daily affirmation is a conscious, deliberate act of trailblazing. When you first say, "I am disciplined and focused," it might even feel like a lie. It's like taking the first step into the thick, untamed part of the forest. It's awkward and requires effort. But each repetition is another step, clearing the way, making that new path just a little more defined than it was the day before. Think of your mind as a garden. For years, you may have unknowingly allowed the seeds of weeds, doubt, fear, insecurity to be planted and watered by your own thoughts. You can't stand in a field of weeds and simply wish for a harvest of fruit. You must first stop nurturing what you don't want, and then, with clear intention, you must plant the seeds of what you do want to grow. Affirmations are those new seeds. But planting them is only the first step. Many people try this and fail because they think the goal is simply to feel motivated. The real purpose is something far more reliable, and understanding this difference is the secret to making this practice actually stick. This brings us to one of the biggest traps in all of personal development: the worship of motivation. Our culture is obsessed with it. We believe we need to find that spark of inspiration, that sudden rush of energy, that perfect feeling before we can take on the important tasks. We consume endless content hoping to get hyped up enough to finally do the work. This is a fundamentally flawed, losing strategy. Why? Because motivation is an emotion, and like all emotions, it is unreliable, unpredictable, and completely temporary. Relying on motivation to achieve your goals is like trying to build a house on a foundation of shifting sand. One day you feel it, the next you don't, and your entire structure of progress comes crashing down. You cannot base your future on the whims of a fleeting feeling. This is where we must separate wishful thinking from strategic living. Professionals in every field, from elite athletes to successful CEOs, do not run on motivation. They run on discipline. But we need to radically redefine the word discipline. It is not some mythical reservoir of willpower that you are either born with or you're not. That belief is just another excuse. Discipline is not a trait. It is a system. That's all. It is the practice of doing what you committed to do, long after the feeling you had when you made the commitment has vanished. It's about building a structure that doesn't require your emotional permission to function. You want to be consistent with your health, with your career, with your personal growth. But you wake up and you simply don't feel like it. The emotional spark isn't there. So, the affirmation becomes the trigger for your system, not the source of a feeling. This is the crucial distinction. The purpose of saying, "I am a person of action," is not to magically make you feel excited about a tedious task. Its purpose is to be the first domino. It's the pre-programmed command that bypasses the emotional debate in your head and initiates the first, smallest step of your system. Whether you feel like it or not becomes irrelevant. This is how financial discipline is built, not by feeling rich, but by systematically saving and investing. It's how physical health is created, not by feeling fit, but by systematically showing up for the workout. Your affirmations are the daily activation code for these systems. Now that we know their true purpose, how do we craft affirmations that actually have the power to pull that trigger? Most fail because they are missing 4 essential ingredients. So, let's build the perfect affirmation, pillar by pillar. An affirmation is a tool, and like any tool, its effectiveness is determined by its design. A vague, passive, or poorly constructed affirmation has zero impact. It's like trying to cut down a tree with a dull axe, but one that is sharp, precise, and well-engineered can change the entire course of your day. That engineering comes down to 4 fundamental pillars. If you get these 4 things right, the effect becomes undeniable. Pillar 1 is the present tense principle. Your affirmations must be stated as if they are already true. Your subconscious mind, the part you are trying to reprogram, operates entirely in the now. It doesn't understand soon or later. When you say, "I will be disciplined," you are actually affirming that you are not disciplined right now. You are programming a future event, reinforcing a state of current lack. Instead, you must state it as an existing fact. I am disciplined. I am focused. It might feel like you're faking it at first, and that's okay. You are giving your brain a direct command for your present moment identity, not wishing for a future one. Pillar 2. It must be framed in the positive. Your brain struggles to process negatives in commands. If I tell you, "Don't think about a yellow car," what is the very first thing that pops into your mind? A yellow car. It's how we're wired. So when you use affirmations like, "I will not waste time today," or "I will not eat junk food," you are forcing your brain to hold the image of the exact thing you want to avoid wasting time. Junk food. You are accidentally strengthening the wrong neural pathway. The solution is to state what you want to move towards. Instead of, "I won't procrastinate," use, "I take immediate and decisive action." Instead of, "I am not afraid of failure," use, I embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. Pillar 3 is the emotional core. A thought alone is not enough to rewire your brain. It must be charged with an emotion. An affirmation repeated like a robot, with no feeling behind it, is just a collection of empty words. The feeling is the energy, the electrical charge that makes the new connections stick. You can repeat, "I am confident," 1,000 times, but if you feel insecure while you say it, your brain gets conflicting signals, and the powerful emotion will always win. So, when you state your affirmation, take a single extra second to try and feel what it would be like if it were 100% true. When you say, "I am calm under pressure," genuinely try to evoke that feeling of stillness in your body. This fusion of thought and feeling is the catalyst for real change. Finally, Pillar 4, the action link. This is the secret ingredient that moves this practice from the world of ideas to the world of results. You must immediately give your brain a small piece of proof that the affirmation is true. If you say, "I am a person of action," and then immediately proceed to scroll on your phone for 30 minutes, you have just proven your own command to be a lie. This creates dissonance and sabotages the entire process. Instead, link the affirmation to a micro-commitment. After you say, "I am a person of action," get up and make your bed, or put one dish in the dishwasher. This tiny act of personal integrity sends a massive signal back to your brain that says, "Command received and executed. This is who we are now." Present tense, positive frame, emotional core, and an action link. That's the blueprint. Now that you know how to build the weapon, let's load it. I'm going to give you 12 powerful, pre-built affirmations designed with these pillars in mind that you can deploy starting tomorrow morning. All right, let's move from theory to direct application. Here are the first 4 affirmations, your toolkit for winning the morning and setting a proactive tone for the entire day. Remember the 4 pillars: present tense, positive frame, emotional core, and an action link as we explore each one. First, for the moment you wake up, before the phone, before the noise, the affirmation is, "My focus is clear, and my intentions for today are set." This is a direct counter-command to the feeling of morning brain fog and overwhelm. Instead of waking into a chaotic cloud of 100 competing thoughts, this statement instructs your brain to seek order and clarity. It's a declaration that you are in control, not your inbox. For the action link, simply say it, and then take one single, deep, conscious breath. Command given, action taken. Second, to build the very foundation of discipline, the affirmation is, "I keep the promises I make to myself." This may be the most important statement for rebuilding self-trust. Every act of procrastination is, at its core, a broken promise to yourself. This affirmation systematically reverses that damage. It reframes your identity into that of a person who is reliable, starting with the most important relationship you have, the one with yourself. Use this right before you start your first major task of the day, be it a workout or a block of deep work. Third, to shift from a passive to an active mindset, the affirmation is, "I am the architect of my day, not a spectator." This is the essence of Stephen Covey's proactivity principle. It pulls you out of a reactive state where the day simply happens to you and places you firmly in a creative state where you happen to your day. It's a powerful reminder that you have agency over your time, your focus, and your responses. It's perfect to use while you review your calendar, transforming a list of duties into a strategic plan you authored. And fourth, for managing energy and anxiety, the affirmation is, "I dedicate my energy only to what I can control." An immense amount of our mental and emotional resources are wasted on things far outside our circle of influence: other people's opinions, market changes, past mistakes. This command instructs your brain to stop leaking energy into unproductive worry and to redirect it toward productive action. It's an immediate grounding tool for whenever you feel yourself getting pulled into frustration or anxiety. These 4 affirmations establish your authority over the day from the very start. But what happens when, a few hours later, that old familiar enemy resistance begins to rear its head? The next block of affirmations is your specialized toolkit for exactly that fight. That initial burst of morning energy is powerful, but resistance is a patient enemy. It's that heavy feeling that sets in when you're facing a complex task, and suddenly every cell in your body screams for distraction. This next set of affirmations is your specialized arsenal for winning that internal battle. Number 5. For when you feel paralyzed by the size of a task. I take the next small step right now. Overwhelm is the fuel for procrastination. We look at the entire mountain and we freeze. This affirmation shatters that paralysis. It commands your brain to stop looking at the peak and to focus only on the single stone right in front of you. Link this to the action of writing down that one tiny next step, or simply opening the required software. It makes the impossible immediately manageable. Number 6. To reframe the struggle. Discomfort is the currency of my growth. We are hardwired to flee from discomfort. But every single thing you want in life, a stronger body, a thriving business, a new skill, exists on the other side of a wall of discomfort. This statement transforms that feeling. It's no longer a signal to retreat. It becomes a clear indicator that you are actively in the process of growth. It turns the feeling of strain into a feeling of progress. Use this in the middle of a tough workout or while learning something difficult. Number 7. To generate your own momentum. Action creates momentum. This is the direct antidote to the lie that we must wait for motivation. It's a law of physics and a law of success. An object in motion stays in motion. This affirmation reminds your brain that one small, imperfect action is enough to create the very energy you feel you are lacking. Action is the engine of motivation, not the other way around. Use it, then commit to just 5 minutes of your task. The momentum will follow. And number 8, to connect with your long-term vision. My future self will thank me for what I do now. This powerfully links your present moment choices to a future reward, making immediate sacrifices feel meaningful. It's a practical way to begin with the end in mind on a personal, emotional level. You are acting in service of the person you are working so hard to become. It's the perfect affirmation for when you're tempted by instant gratification over a long-term goal. With these tools, you can break through the resistance of the moment. But there is a deeper, more fundamental battle to be won: fight against self-doubt. The final block of affirmations is designed to rebuild your core sense of personal value and resilience. We've covered how to command your morning and how to punch through resistance. Now, we reinforce the foundation. These final 4 affirmations are not about doing, they are about being. They are designed to build your core self-worth and the emotional resilience needed to handle setbacks with grace and strength. Number 9. For detaching your worth from your output. My value is inherent and is not defined by my productivity. In a world that screams hustle, it's dangerously easy to fuse our identity with our accomplishments. This is a recipe for burnout. This affirmation is a radical act of decoupling. It reminds you that you have worth simply because you exist. Your value is a constant, not a variable tied to your to-do list. Use this at the end of a hard day, especially one where you feel you fell short. It is an act of profound self-compassion. Number 10. For transforming failure. Every challenge is a teacher, and I am a dedicated student. This statement completely reframes failure. It is no longer a verdict on your ability. It is simply part of the curriculum for your growth. This removes the emotional sting from mistakes and replaces it with a sense of purpose. It shifts you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset at the deepest level. Use this immediately after a setback or when receiving criticism. Number 11. For combating imposter syndrome. I am worthy of the success and happiness I am building. So many of us work hard to achieve a goal, only to feel like a fraud when we get there. This leads to subtle but powerful forms of self-sabotage. This affirmation is a direct counter-command to that feeling. It grants you the permission to accept, receive, and enjoy the positive results of your efforts without guilt or apology. Finally, number 12, the ultimate statement of self-sovereignty. I approve of myself. Right here and now, we spend so much of our lives subconsciously seeking a stamp of approval from others, from our parents, our bosses, our social media followers. This affirmation is the act of taking back that power. It is the quiet, unshakable declaration that you are your own source of validation. It is a return to your center. You now have a complete toolkit. A tool for the morning, a tool for the struggle, and a tool for the soul. But a toolbox full of pristine, powerful tools is worthless if it just sits in the corner collecting dust. So, how do we make using them an automatic, non-negotiable part of your daily life? That is the final and most critical piece of this entire system. You now have the knowledge and the tools, but the bridge between understanding a concept and embodying it is a daily, consistent ritual. Knowledge without action is merely entertainment. The goal now is to make this practice so ingrained in your routine that it becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth. Here are 3 simple tactics to forge that consistency. First, use a technique called habit stacking. The easiest way to build a new habit is to anchor it to one that already exists. Don't leave it to chance. Make a specific contract with yourself. For example, right after my morning alarm goes off, I will sit up and say my first affirmation. Or, while my coffee is brewing, I will review and repeat my 3 affirmations for the day. The old habit turning off the alarm, making coffee becomes the unbreakable trigger for the new one. Second, amplify the power by writing it down. Speaking your affirmations is powerful, but the physical act of writing engages your brain on a much deeper level. It forces focus and makes the intention more tangible. Get a simple notebook, and every morning, spend just 60 seconds writing down the 1 or 2 affirmations you need most for the day ahead. This small act transforms a fleeting thought into a concrete, physical creation. You are literally writing the new code into existence. Third, use your environment. You need to build a world around you that pulls you toward your goals, not away from them. Use visual cues. Take a sticky note. Write down 1 key affirmation like, "Discomfort is the currency of growth," and place it on the corner of your computer monitor or your bathroom mirror. This isn't just a passive reminder. It's a pattern interrupt. In a moment of stress or doubt, that visual cue can break the negative thought loop and pull you right back to your chosen intention. Stack the habit, write it down, and use visual cues. This is the 3-part system that builds real, lasting consistency without burning out your willpower. You now have the what, the why, and the how. You possess a complete system for fundamentally changing your internal dialogue, one day at a time. The only thing left is to take the first step, starting today. We began this journey with a simple question. What happens when you intentionally choose the first words you tell yourself each day? We've moved through the science of neuroplasticity, torn down the myth of motivation, and assembled a toolkit of 12 precise commands designed to rebuild your internal world. This system is about more than just positive thinking. It's about reclaiming the role of architect of your own mind. The discipline you forge in this small, daily practice will inevitably ripple out into every other area of your life. But it all means nothing without the first step. So, I have a challenge for you. Right now, don't try to do everything at once. Just choose the one mission that targets your greatest point of friction. If your biggest struggle is starting the day with focus, your mission is to pick just one morning affirmation. For the next 3 days, that is the very first thing you will say and act upon when you wake up. If your main battle is with procrastination during the day, your mission is to choose one affirmation from the resistance block. Write it on a sticky note right now and put it where you can see it. You must read it aloud before you allow yourself to get distracted. And if your deepest fight is with your own inner critic, Your mission is to select one affirmation from the resilience block. Tonight, make it the last thing you do. Say it to yourself while looking in the mirror. Choose your challenge. The reprogramming begins not tomorrow, but with this first single act of intention. Start now.